What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? Today we're going to be looking at last week's Flaturday night fight where it was Red's Rhetoric versus Flat Earth Jesus. Now, we had some trouble getting a Flat Earther on, so we definitely appreciate Flat Earth Jesus gracing us with his presence, but he has some interesting things to say about the moon, as well as like the sun, it being a portal, and just basically how shit works on a flat Earth. I hope that you enjoy this segment, and I hope that you will also go and check out the Non Sequitur Show if you're not already subscribed to them. I will be on there again this weekend for Flaturday Night Fights, so I hope that I can see you there on Saturday night.
But I'm glad that you said that, though, Fighter Jesus. You said a buzzword, and I remembered where we left off last time, and I think that this would be a good area to kind of wrap up on because you teased us with it last time, but we didn't get to go into it too deeply. But you said the key word right there. Can you tell us what your theory on the moon is?
Oh, my theory on the moon? Well, I just believe it's an artificial construct. It's an artificial construct. It's been put up there for whatever reason, and I mean, you're probably best off looking at my channel where I recently made another rant about it because I got into it a little bit. I actually called it Thatcher's Law of Perspective plus discussions, something like that. And I go into it in great detail. My best theory is, of course, that it's artificially constructed. So who put it there? And I believe there's been so much lost in our history that, you know, it would take me an hour to describe just the origins of how it came to be. But yeah, I do believe that there were giant beings who have been bioengineered over time, possibly in the depths of the bowels of the earth, who are able to mine natural minerals in order to make it. And they would have obviously been quite giant beings. There's much evidence of giant beings. I've actually read a book over 3 parts too called Secret of the Ages, which has a lot of evidence of giant beings. You may laugh, Mr. Godless Engineer, but hey, I've done far more research on this stuff than you ever have.
Well,
so
if you've done
research, come up with a best theory. If I can come up with a best theory, you know, the craters do look like something that you'd expect, say, a bubble bursting in boiling mud to appear. So as they raise it up into the colder stratosphere, that's
if you did research on this, I have. If you did research on this, I have a single question. How do you move something that weighs 7.2 times 10 to 22 kilograms? I'm curious.
Well, you don't know how much it weighs. That's just nonsense to believe it. I think
no,
it's hollow.
I have a. It's easily. You can easily
and if it's full of hydrogen, then that is what elevates itself. And so, as it was filled full of hydrogen, probably through hydrogen generators, which we can all make our own hydrogen generators these days, should we wish, it is lighter than air. So that's what lifted it up. And so if there's a constant hydrogen generators inside of it, lifting it up, once it got up there and it cooled down rapidly, of course, they still have to seal all this hydrogen in. So, of course, if that's their only available material is, say, something like molten glass, molten quartz, molten obsidian, something akin to that, as they're putting on various layers of it, certain parts are going to bust in the big bubbles, and that's what makes the appearance of craters. And eventually it's all sealed in. They've set it in motion because it's on some sort of electromagnetic force revolving around above us, which is what is pushing the tides ahead of us. That's how the tides work. The tides are always in front of the moon, never pulled by it. That's basically how I think the moon is probably most likely to be in existence. And I think that they actually made several other failed attempts, some of which are just cling closer to the sun.
Okay, hold on. Let me. Can I try to sum this up real quick? So
sure.
Basically, tell me if I get this right or wrong, Flat Earth Jesus. Giants that were forged in the center of the earth, for which apparently there's a lot of evidence for, filled up a glass type of material with hydrogen that then floated above the earth and then quickly cooled and formed the moon?
In a nutshell, you might say that's a simplistic version of it. Yeah, but I don't know exactly how they did it. That's what I'm saying. I don't know all the answers to everything. But to me, this is like the most logical explanation.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What do you think the sun? What do you think the sun is then? if that's how the moon, we got the moon, what do you think the sun is?
Well, the sun is basically an interdimensional portal. If you were able to see it from above, assuming you could get above it, it would appear to be a black hole surrounded by nothing but white light. On the time when the moon is full, you would see nothing but a white orb surrounded by nothing but black nightness of the black night sky. And that is where the origins of the yin and yang symbol came from. So the sun itself doesn't really exist. It's a nothingness. It's a portal that allows the light to emanate. Well, it doesn't even emanate from it. It's an some sort of electromagnetic charge that when it reaches the atmosphere, the noble gases of our atmosphere causes them to glow. And then as we view the sun through the atmosphere, these noble gases, that is why it appears to be this big shiny ball of light. But as soon as it goes beyond our horizon, of course, those noble gases cease illuminating. They get less and less until eventually it's our nighttime again. So the sun is basically an interdimensional portal that transforms light from another dimension.
If I could ask real quick, you say that the noble gases stop doing something as the sun goes below the horizon. I mean, you understand that while it goes below the horizon for us, it is like sunrise somewhere else, or the sun is illuminating another part of the earth. So I guess I don't understand how it could be dimming out these gases or whatnot, but also illuminating them at the same time.
It's vicinity location, isn't it? The nearer it is to the sun, the more those gases glow. And because the Earth is still really big and the sun is going around above us, it only illuminates it locally. And that's why it appears dimmer as it gets towards sunset or sunrise. And when it's directly overhead, it glows so brightly that's why the gases glow so brightly. And the moon itself, when it is lit by the sun, only the sunlit part of it during the daytime is visible through those gases because it is bright enough to be seen. But of course, some people say, well, how come we can see blue sky through the moon? A lot of flat earthers actually, I'll turn around and describe to them, no, you're seeing the illuminated gases in front of it. You're just seeing the moon, the sunlit part of the moon shining through it.
Hey, Kyle.
So,
yes.
This means that the sun stops illuminating the atmosphere.
Do you know how I know that model is completely wrong? Because if the sun were rotating over us like many flat earthers say it does, then the angular size of the sun would change throughout the day. And when you actually do this observation, it doesn't.
That's right. It doesn't, because as I said, it illuminates the gases of the atmosphere, and that's what gives us the apparent size and location of the sun. The actual sun itself might be way, way further away and way different. So that's why you can't triangulate its size and distance from two different places, because it's not the actual sun. You're just seeing the apparition of it through the atmosphere, and the atmosphere itself being a constant size, no matter how far away, and it appears to get low to the horizon because of perspective, means that the size will never change. The angular size cannot ever change. It's still moving in a parallel line over the exact same.
The angular size of the sun will have to change, because if you look at the sun through a solar filter, you see that
object.
Well, obviously it is because of the appearance of sunspots. Things are on the sun. You can clearly see a definitive surface to the sun with something as simple as sunspots in a solar filter. So it's clear to me and anyone else that looks at this thing through a solar filter that you are looking at the sun as it actually is. It is literally that big in the sky, because that's how big it actually is in the sky. So if we were seeing the sun going,
some other objects.
If we were to see this,
some other object in front of it.
If we were to see the sun going over the flat Earth, in a circle, like let's say over the equator at equinox, we would see the sun rise at one angular size, grow to 3 to 4 times bigger midday, and then shrink again to the size it was when it initially rose. Guess what we don't see happening? This is a direct contradiction for the flat Earth.
No, it's a clear misunderstanding of perspective, which I've explained multiple times. As I said, people who want to know can go to my channel and see. This symbol here, the Freemasonic symbol, tells you exactly how it all works. The saying of the Freemasonic symbol says, on the level, always on the level. This here is what's known as the set square. This here is the path of the all-seeing eye, the sun, and this is the angle that we see it from our perspective. So we see it going up, we see it going down again, but it's always on the level.
Your
That's
definition
what
of the
perspective is
law,
all about. Looking at parallel lines, traveling, how we perceive them to be, going up and down again. You think it's going down, it's not. It's just going distant, and then eventually it gets obscured by the set square. That's why it's called set.
I
Sunset.
already told you. I already told you this during our last conversation. You can't BS me when it comes to perspective because I know it. The law of perspective is alpha equals 2 times the arctan of G over 2R. Alpha is the angular size of an object.
Meaningless.
G is the actual size of the object. R is the distance to the object. This mathematical equation does not state anywhere that an object traveling away from you is going to arbitrarily start disappearing bottom up. In fact, what it does say is that on a flat Earth, we should see the sun shrink in totality. Your BS conspiracy does not match the actual law perspective.
No. The set square obscures it. That's why it appears to be obscured bottom first, because you're not taking into account that the set square, you're at the bottom of it. Everything beneath you appears to rise up to the center of your eyes. That's how perspective really works. You think you can see
unfortunately
infinitely
not.
across
Parallel lines don't intersect by
bullshit.
definition. If perspective acted the way that you think it acted, then we would see train tracks crossing over in the distance. We don't see that happening, dude.
No.
You have a misunderstanding of perspective, which is based on a conspiracy.
On the flattened level. Train tracks are on the flattened level. The sun is up really, really high.
It doesn't matter if the train tracks are on the ground or pointing straight up.
It's just been obscured.
Let's hypothetically say we had 2 poles that are parallel with each other, going straight up. How far would I have to look up before they start crossing over in the distance?
You're talking about poles on the ground once again.
I'm talking about
on
parallel
the ground
lines.
are always going to be on the ground.
So basically, according to you, parallel lines cross over because reasons.
Well, yeah, you can see it. You can see it quite often with, say, a line of telegraph poles going into the horizon. You can see where the obscurity point starts to obscure them bottom first, and you can still see.
But they never cross over.
A lot of people confuse the curvature.
They never cross over,
point, isn't it? It's an obscurity point. Then, because these things are low to the ground, that's why it appears that way. The sun is up very high.
The reason why they become
obscured by your nearby horizon, just a few miles away at most, gets obscured once it's sufficiently far enough away, because it is moving away.
The reason why objects get obscured as they get further away from you is because their angular size becomes so small that the available resolution of your eye is insufficient to make out the object.
On the surface.
So no. If I have an object going away from me over a flat Earth and lines are parallel and parallel lines don't cross over by definition, that means that I shouldn't be able to see that sun set at all. I should see it disappear as a finer and finer and finer point in the sky. But guess what? We don't see. We still see the angular size of the sun is what it always is throughout the day, and yet it's still setting. The only way that can happen is if something is blocking our sight with the sun. That thing is the curvature of the Earth.
The horizon. As I told you, depth perception for dummies. God, I need to show you a bloody picture of how depth perception works. Everything. Look at your floor right now. Look at your floor into the corner of your room and look how it appears to rise up. Look at the ceiling. Look how it appears to sink down. These 2 points both those lines are parallel to each other, but due to your eyes, to your perception, the ceiling line is going down, the floor line is going up. When you go out into nature and see something like sun happening, the thing beneath your feet is going to appear to rise up to a certain point where it creates this obstruction point, whereas the things really high up are going to appear to go a much steeper line down until they're so far away they disappear bottom first as a simple matter of normal everyday perspective.
The floor will never cross over the ceiling. The floor will never cross over the ceiling. So yes, find a room and please
that's because
draw
of the
me a
viewing
picture
height.
Because dude, even if you were to slam your face against the ground, that ceiling will never cross the ground and the ground will never cross the ceiling. Your understanding of perspective is fundamentally flawed. At the most basic level, you don't understand perspective.
Whew, that was a whole lot of crazy, wasn't it? How'd you like my reactions? Please let me know down in the comments below. While you're down there, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice, and I will see you heathens later.